I remember periodically, if I wrote, I think I've written close to 25 articles for CalCPA
wow.
over the years. And depending on the topic, somebody would, you would submit it, or it would get fact checked.
Right.
Lately, that hasn't happened because, in my particular area, which is succession and mergers, for whatever reason, we haven't had the need to fact check. But
Right.
how do you do it on a normal basis?
Tech reviews are pretty simple. We just pull the name off, pull the headline off, and send it to someone whose field that they cover that field. So they generally are doing a blind read of something, and they'll just send up any red flags for me. Pretty straightforward. And as you say, it depends on what the article is, but usually if it's obviously a very technical article dealing with some new regulation, best practice, how to apply some sort of regulation, then yeah, that's how we do that. And we have, as again, we can go back to the committees. If it's depending what the topic is, there's a committee chair that covers that topic, and who do you have that can look at this, and any number of names will come back and they do a quick read and let me know how it looks. So that's generally how tech reviews go.
When you say committees, you might want to, explain the sort of like the organizational structure, because it's widespread, and that's probably why you have such a good connection, because it goes all the way from the state society all the way down to the local chapters and the local committees.
Right. We have let's see, we have about, how many chapters are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 13 chapters, and those are geographical. So those go up and down California, Bakersfield, Central Coast, Channel counties, all the way up to Silicon Valley, San Joaquin, San Francisco, San Diego. So that's how one way the membership's broken out. Another way is that we have, and what I'm talking about when I talk about committees are the state committees. And we have, those are committees such as accounting principles and insurance services, estate and trust planning, financial literacy committee, government relations, government accounting and auditing, management of accounting practice, personal financial planning. Those are all, and so on and so on. Those are all state committees, and those committees meet, however many times a year, and they have a chair, and they have they're fully structured committees. And those committees are who most of them, I wouldn't say most of them, about half of them have a themed issue corresponding. And so I'm on their agendas on a yearly basis. And they address, hey, our issue's coming up. What do we want to write about? What do we want to submit to Damien? So those are kind of the two major ways that our membership of, 40,000 plus is broken up. And it gives, as I was kind of alluding to earlier, it gives us a good way of reaching out to the membership in a focused way.
Well, those also drop down to the chapters as well. Like there's an LA map, and it goes up to the state, and
right,
goes up to the board and whatever. So you've really got quite a intricate map of
yeah. And I mean, LA is a little bit of an exception just because you're so big, and so you kind of have the options to break out a bit more. Some of the smaller places, channel counties and whatnot, don't necessarily have all the state parallels. But that's kind of how it works. Yeah, exactly.
So that's part of your reporters.
That's a big part of my reporters. Yes, my volunteer reporters, even though they don't know it's half the time.
Do you write at all?
I do, not as much as I'd like to, but the old joke in this business, once you become an editor, you don't write anymore. And honestly, it's sort of true, unfortunately. I do, and my boss, although, is always pushing me to write more, because it is what I kind of came in, it was the strength I came into this job with, and I just, it's just a bandwidth issue. The things that I do write, I tend to be, take some time, so it's more of a time thing. I think my goal currently is to write at least something once a quarter, and I think I might be on track this year. I don't know. I hope my boss isn't watching, but I think I'm on track this year.
What do you write about? What is it?
It depends. I mean, I just did one on cryptocurrency. That's coming in the next issue, and a big part of what I do, which is an easier thing to do, is Q&As. I'll come up with an idea. I think I just did one on recruitment and retention that's coming up in the next issue. And that just require, identifying a good cross section of members to talk to and getting, asking them questions and putting that down on page for everyone, for other firms to look at and say, hey, this is what these firms are doing. Maybe we should consider doing these sort of things, and giving a good cross section so they know this might not fit for us because these people are big, but these people are doing this down here. Maybe we can do a little bit of this here. So that's a lot of what I do. And then I also do the yearly profile of the new chair. And that is that's what it is. We get the new Cal CPA chair comes in, I think June is when they're elected and take the position. And then by July, I think about the May or June, I can't remember, about the May issue, we do a profile of that chair, and I do that every year. And that's just an interview and just giving everyone, giving the larger membership a way to meet them.
You're talking about the state chair that
correct.
There's a cover story. It's always a
correct.
Cover
like the
story.
last one I did was Christy Simons.